Hi there, this is Karen, Cooking with Karen, and it's all grain-free. Today we're going to make my, well-known in my family, tortillas, and turning those into chips. So it's a pretty simple recipe, and we'll get started. Okay, first of all, I've measured 2 cups of arrowroot into this bowl. The recipe that I uses equal amounts of arrowroot to macadamia nuts. The original recipe that I read online called for almond flour, but personally I get tired of the taste of almond flour. I use it a lot in pancakes, muffins, and to me it just has too much flavor to be a chip, a tortilla chip. So I experimented with macadamia nuts, and I'm really pleased with it. It's nice, mild flavor, and it won't overpower usually the guacamole I'm eating it with, or whatever, or cheese. The chips are real good with cheese. So I'm going to measure 1 cup, or actually 2 cups of mac nuts. I always use organic from Whole Foods, but they can often be shy of arrowroot, so if you are shopping there and you find yourself in need of arrowroot, you get a lot of it. They run out, although we have the world's smallest Whole Foods in our neighborhood. And all I'm going to do is pulse these mac nuts in my Ninja. What you're looking for is for the nuts to be about the size of 1 or 2 pinheads. I make my own cashew butter, and in order to do that it takes a long time. You have to keep, I actually blew out one of these motors doing that. But with mac nuts, because they're so oily, you just need to do it for a very short time. Or maybe I won't, so you can see how long I do it. I always give it a good shake. If you do it too long, it's gonna turn into butter. So you don't want that to happen. Like that. I give it a look-see, and let's see how that looks. You know, I think I can do it a little bit longer. It doesn't seem to be getting too oily yet. Yeah, it's starting to coagulate a bit too much, or, you know, just to let you know that it's letting out its oils. So this is how I am going to use it. And if you can see here, it's really, each one is about the size of a pinhead or 2 pinheads. So I'm just going to add that to my already measured out 2 cups of arrowroot. And I use a lot of salt because I don't like to salt the chips after I fry them. So for 2 cups of each, I will use a tablespoon of sea salt. I use Himalayan fine pink salt. Now you mix this together. Arrowroot is a lot like cornstarch. I don't use cornstarch because I'm paleo, so no greens. And I tried to, I use this big fat wooden spoon because I like to really get rid of all of the big chunks. And it's a heavy duty spoon. Once I add the water, you'll see why I like to use the heavy spoon. Alright, now we're going to add the water. And let me measure out so we know. I will start, I'm going to put a cup of water in my measuring cup. It's not going to take that much. But I'll start with, let's see how much that was. That was a quarter cup. And you can see it's going to take more. But it's real easy to add too much water to this. And you see how it's chunking up? That's because the arrowroot is absorbing all the moisture and grabbing a hold. So what I do is I push out the chunks so that the moisture can be more well dispersed, more evenly dispersed. And there we go. And I just know it's going to take more water, so I'm going to go ahead and add, let's see how much that was. That wasn't quite a quarter cup. That wasn't even an eighth of a cup, so I'm going to, okay, that's almost a quarter cup. Maybe it will take a whole cup, I don't know. I've never measured before, I only go by looks. So you see the big chunks, and that's when I really start mashing them. That's why I use this heavy spoon. Alright, I'm going to add some more. This is where I go a little bit slower. That was, oh, I would say maybe an ounce. And you can see how it's becoming more of a big ball. We're going to add probably just like a half ounce or an ounce more. So far I've used 2/3 of a cup. But you can see how it's getting more moist and staying more moist. That's why you really have to disperse that moisture throughout. Use some muscles. Okay, we're starting to get the ball that we need. Just need a hair more water. Alright, still right around 1/3 of a cup showing. So, this is looking pretty good. Just want to make sure that it's well mixed. Alright, now I'm just a hair under 1/3 of a cup of water left over in my 1 cup measure. So for 2 cups, each arrowroot mac nut, tablespoon of salt, it takes about 2/3 cup of water. And now I will show you the consistency. You can see that it's still, it's showing wet on the outside, but yet when you squeeze, it stays together like a dough. Okay, now we are ready to make our tortillas. I'm going to heat my pan up on medium-high. Cast iron skillet, no oil, so just nice and dry. And I take a scoop of the dough. I don't like to make my tortillas too big, so I use about this much, and you can see how it's kind of moist. I've cut 2 pieces of parchment paper, one on the bottom here, and what I'm going to do to start with, here, take about that much arrowroot and kind of rub it around, make a nice circle of arrowroot on the paper so it doesn't stick. and it will. So I start by making a circle like this. And then I put it here, and I add a little bit more arrowroot to it, to the top. It's no fun when it sticks. Alright, oh, phooey, I don't have my... So we got our little patty there. Now put this one over top, and we roll out. And you roll it pretty thin. For tortilla chips, if you're going to do the fry part, I use these as tortillas, and then I do the second half where I cut them in triangles and fry them up as chips. So for chips, we will want to make them about this thin. It's very, very thin. They will puff up slightly. So what I do is I just flip the parchment paper. This is where it gets tricky. And just kind of roll it off. And some came off on it. I'll just stick that back in. Now, this is what I do because all this paper is so hard to deal with in the pan. So I cut it around the tortilla. Like so. Then you take the tortilla, you gotta make sure it's hot enough. Yeah, it looks like it's hot enough. And flip it over, and then peel it, and sometimes it breaks, and so you have to just kind of figure out where you can pick it up from without really pulling it apart. They do get easier the more you make. The dough seems to dry out a bit as you're working. It's easier. There we go. Now I reuse this. While that's cooking, I get my next one ready. The dough does dry out as you work. All this dough. So in the beginning, it's probably a good idea to use more arrowroot on the parchment paper. And then I just make it a little patty and get it ready. And by about right now, I'll check this one. And you can see where it's just starting to get a little brown. That's exactly what you want. And go ahead and roll this next one out. I made this one a little smaller. I'm also making this one a little thicker because I'm going to use it as a tortilla. I don't know if you can see in the video, but I'm making my famous chicken burritos. And that will be another video soon to come. Looks like they go a little longer. As time goes on, they cook faster because the pan gets hotter and hotter, obviously. Alright, now we're ready to put the next one in. That one just came right off. That's perfect. Oops, and then I blew it. And there you go. I'm getting ready to roll out another one. I made another 3 cups worth. You can see. Now, I use these not only for tortillas for burritos, but it makes a great pizza crust. I will leave it. I will roll it out a little thicker for both the burritos and the pizza crust. Whereas when I roll them out for the chips, I roll them out pretty thin because they do puff up a little bit, not a whole heck of a lot. But I don't know if you can see the thickness there. That it's about I'd say almost double of what I do for the chips, and you can see the process starts to get a lot quicker. Now I have tried to use a stainless steel pan with this, and it does not work. So do not use a stainless steel pan because it needs to be oiled or greased somehow, whereas cast iron doesn't need any oiling. And I flip it. That's like looking perfect. And also when I'm cooking them for tortillas as opposed to chips, I like to keep them a little on the more pliable side so I don't cook them quite as long. The second side will tend to look more like this than this. A little bit longer here. You hear my kitty cat? She says it smells good. There we go. Also, I want to point out that toward the end of your batches, the arrowroot tends to just keep absorbing the moisture, so I end up adding just a little bit more water. I mean, just a little. You have to do it all, you have to add it a little at a time, just to moisten it up again, get it to where I like it, where it's still a little wet but holds its shape. Okay, now we are going to take, you can't see me, all these tortillas that we made. Oh, my hair's near them, that's a big no-no. And we're going to do the second phase, making them into tortilla chips. So I use coconut oil, and I would strongly recommend you use coconut oil. It is the best oil for you. I get mine online from Wilderness Family Naturals. People think, oh, it's so expensive, but I get 5 gallons for $135, and that will last me a long time. I get expeller crust, organic. If you have someone in your family that doesn't like coconut, you need to get expeller crust because it doesn't carry the flavor of the coconut. I love coconut. My husband hates it, so I use expeller crust, and it makes us all happy. It's going to take a lot of oil. I'm going to get this heating. But remember, coconut oil is medium chain triglycerides, so much better for you than any other oil that you could use. Remember to always evaluate oil by the omega-3 versus omega-6, just to stay on the healthy side. So I'm going to put a lot of oil. I like to put a good 3/4 of an inch in there. And that will probably do it. Now remember that we can't use anything but cast iron to make the tortillas, but this, obviously, you can use anything. And I like to use this skillet with it being, the angled in bottom. You don't have to use as much oil. So I get that heating up, and now for the tortillas, I just take the tortilla and I cut it in half, flip it over, and then I just cut it in triangles. The oil looks real clear now. It'll start to look, you'll start to see waves in the oil. It'll turn a little yellow. I have it right now on just over medium-high on my big burner. I will turn that down a little bit once I feel it's reached the point I need it to be. You can tell by the color of the oil too, it'll turn a little more yellow as it's getting hotter. I have my paper towel waiting for my finished product. Now I can start to see a little bit of smoke coming, so I think we're ready. Now you're going to find that the first ones you fry up will be nice and light. As the oil gets hotter and hotter, the chips get a little more brown. You can hear them frying up there. Real soon I will turn it down a little bit. You can see it smoking around the sides. We don't want that. Just flip them over. After about that much time, I don't know how long that was, so I guess I should time it. Like I said in the beginning, they're not going to go as quick. That should be good. I usually put about 7 or 8 in at a time. And that's pretty much the process. Remember, when you're done with your oil, do not put it down, drain. Put it in a container, put it out to the garbage, and save your drain. If you check my channel, you will see my guacamole recipe. We are going to do a taste test with the chips now. They're still pretty hot, though. Maybe I'll pick one up that isn't so hot. This one here. Yummy guacamole. Nice crunch. Perfect. Yum. Good fat. Cooked in good fat. You don't have to feel guilty.